We are Mike and Jeannie, and we restore old houses. In 2021, we moved to South Carolina and bought a 120-year-old Victorian house. Follow along as we put the polish back on this Victorian masterpiece. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of 1834 Restoration House. As you can see, we're in full-on winter back here. All the leaves are gone and things are looking kind of ratty, but we've been blessed with a warm day, and
I'm always cold.
well, you had your coat off earlier.
I did.
I'll see you got a sweater on under there too.
Yeah, but I'm in the menopause stage, so I still get hot flashes and cold chills, and right now I'm in a cold chill.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, anyway, so we're going to continue working on the siding. We have the paint that we used last week, and when we last left you, we had put one coat on the wall. Today we're going to go back and put on a second coat. Now, let me show you something real quick. Here's the paint. Now, oil-based paint has a nasty habit of separating. The oil, the pigment, and the turpentine, they all just kind of stratify. So I got my chalky pigment down at the bottom. Feels really crusty. So I'm just going to go ahead and stir it up and try to get everything mixed back up really well. It's been a full week since we last did the paint here, and you can see it definitely has the color, but it's kind of a little bit, not even. I'm going to go ahead and start applying a second coat of oil paint. Now, I'm going to be going very, very thin on this because the mixture is so thin. It's better to put on several thin coats than one big thick coat. And the reason we do that is if your coat is too thick, gravity will get a hold of it and start pulling it downhill. The next thing you know, you get sags and runs. And when you're painting something, you definitely don't want sags and runs. You want to have a smooth finish. This is going on much better than it did last time. I'm not seeing the repellent action that I was seeing before. Everything's laying down nice and smooth. So now I'm going to go back, one nice long brush stroke to even it out, and do that again. All right, you guys, what do you think? There it is with a second coat compared to the first coat. Now remember, all this is just green earth pigment. Comes out of the ground. Linseed oil comes from the flax plant, and turpentine, which is a derivative of pine sap. With this really thin oil paint, a little bit goes a long way. I can't overemphasize how thin this paint has to go on. If you're used to modern paint and you try this stuff on an old house, you really have to adjust your technique. See, my brush load was really, really light, and I'm pretty much able to do the entire section here. If this was latex, I'd be starving it, but that's not the case with oil paint. It doesn't take much. The technique I'm doing here is I apply the initial bit of paint in the middle and then just kind of fan it out sideways. Nice thin coats.
I like it with the second coat.
Mm-hmm. It seems to have a bit more color.
What do you guys think? Do you like it better with the second coat? Or should we darken it up some more?
There it is, 2 coats. Now, because we're in inclement weather, I'm going to go ahead and put some plastic over here to keep the rain off of it, and we'll come back in 24 hours and check it again. All right, could you give me another one for this side? All right. Alrighty, and another one for over here. Hopefully this works. Okay, we have some plastic up here, and hopefully that will keep any rainwater off the paint long enough for it to dry. I'm going to go clean this brush and then we'll get busy with something else. I don't know how many Mini Cooper drivers are watching this channel, but if you own one, you know these cars go through tires so fast, they go through them like candy. And the reason is because the back tires are canted like this, and so they wear unevenly. The dealers won't rotate the tires because the factory says don't do it. And I think it really has to do with selling tires, to be honest with you. So what we did is we started a program of tire rotation a while back. Every 3,000 miles, we rotate the tires, get the rear tires up on front, let them wear down a little bit more evenly, and give the fronts a chance to rest a bit. We're on our second rotation today. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll start by breaking the lug nuts loose. As soon as it pops, then stop. I'm also going opposite sides in a star pattern. Okay, the lug nuts are loose on both wheels. Now I'm just going to jack the car up. On the Mini Cooper, if you jack the front, the rear will also come up off the ground. So I don't know too many cars that will do that, but it makes it perfect for doing tire rotation. Tire off. Now this tire is going to the rear. Tire off. And this one goes up front. Just like that. That's it. One side is done. Now I just do the same thing on the other side.
New plan for the squirrel war. We got some dried corn. I'm putting it in the trap. One on each side, and then we've sprinkled some corn here, some corn all out here, just a few out here, and a few out behind me. And then we're going to lock it down, and we're going to cover it so hopefully this next rainstorm coming isn't going to puff out the corn or anything. Maybe it'll be a little more inconspicuous for the squirrel. They seem to know what a trap is. So there we go. Let's see if it works.
Tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree, says the old song. But that's not what's going on here. This is actually a telephone pole, and up top there is a yard light. So the previous owner decided that she wanted a yard light in this yard and the yard next door, which she also owned back in the day before she died. Now, after she died, her estate sold both properties off separately. Now, here's the problem. over there is a power pole where the power comes in for the house, but they trenched in a conduit all the way over to here, and they powered up this light here, and then they turned around, went back in the ground, trenched all the way over there to the next door property, and powered that light as well. So I've been in touch with the power company. They're going to come disconnect the power there, which will make way for our new electrical project, and then they're going to take this pole out and the light out, and they'll just cut the conduits at the ground level. Later on, if we want to, we can come back and trench that out of there and get rid of it. It will cut the power next door, but they're going to repower that light through a different means rather than right through our backyard. So that's what's going on here. We're just waiting for a little bit drier weather so they can get the truck back here without sinking. Right behind me here is the great magnolia tree. Now, these are magnolia seed pods. They come out in the fall, and they have these bright red seed pods on them. They're great. The squirrels, they get at them, and they chew them off, they hit the ground, and then they collect all those little seeds, and they use that for food. So I don't know how these things could ever propagate in the natural setting with so many squirrels around. But we have literally hundreds of these things on the ground, and we'll have to clean them up before we do our first mow in the spring. Being in the south, we're observing some really strange behavior of plants and trees lately, as you saw in our last episode. But look up here. This is the next year's growth on this tree. And if I recall correctly, this tree puts out these beautiful large pink blossoms, but you can see it's already starting. This has a kind of a furry feel to it, really interesting. And then back over here, you can see next year's growth already starting here. So things are moving.
The swags needed a little more decoration, so I added the red bows. It looks better now. It feels more complete. Yesterday, we heard a bunch of noises from up above. Yep, the squirrels are back. Arr! So Mike went upstairs yesterday and patched up the holes with hardware cloth and some of that stinky stuff. And it seems to have worked, because today we haven't heard anything. Hopefully that's the end of them in the house anyway. Well, let's check the squirrel cage. And you know what? I still see corn all over the ground over here, and I don't hear any noises. So I don't think they've actually found it yet. Nothing.
It's been 24 hours since we laid down the second coat, and we put plastic over the top to keep it dry because we knew there was a rainstorm coming. Well, the plastic is no longer there. It's now about 50 feet over there in the bushes, and the wall got wet. So as a result, you can see it looks kind of blotchy. Not good. But it's mostly dry now, so I'm going to come back with some paint. I'm going to lay down another coat on there. And that's the great thing about oil paint, is that the coats will just lay right into each other. They actually meld and become one, rather than just, like one coat on top of a coat on top of a coat like it does with latex. Okay, maybe third time's a charm. Let's see what happens. It is really laying on nice. The coat below this is still tacky, so maybe that's the secret to the success here. We're kind of having to relearn the old arts the hard way through experimentation, because the people who did this way back in the days are no longer with us. Everything we do here is experimental. We are basically reviving the lost art of oil-based paint on houses. Nobody does this anymore. We were given a recipe, which is what we started with, and it had a high concentration of turpentine in it. And what I'm seeing is the pigments are starting to sag down the wall after being on here a few minutes. So I'm thinking it's too thin. I'm going to try another version of this that has less turpentine in it, and therefore a thicker mixture, not quite so soupy. After putting 3 coats on here, I'm starting to see a beautiful rich color developing. It's not perfectly smooth like I want, but the basic color is beautiful.
Many people have commented that the color was a bit too light, and we agreed. The more layers we put on, the darker it's gotten though. And I really like this dark color. What do you guys think? Do you like the darker color? Or is it still too light?
I went back outside a few minutes ago and checked the paint. Everything looks really good right now, so I'm going to spend a little time in here taking some of the paint off the trims. So let's go ahead and get things ready here. The irony here is that it's a beautiful day outside, and here we are inside working. Several people have suggested that I get some rhythm going where I'm heating while I'm scraping and heating while I'm scraping. Now here's the problem with that. This thing is so powerful that it will boil the paint in seconds. And if I hold it on there any longer than that, it's going to start scorching the wood. And I can't get the paint off of there fast enough to make that work. I'm going to end up causing damage to the wood. So that's why I'm taking my time, going slow, taking however much time I need, and doing a good job. Speed is not really a concern. Okay, everybody, this is about 20 minutes worth of work right here. So we've already cut our time way down. It's just a matter of focus, you know, getting a rhythm and doing the work and staying on it.
This Christmas Eve, we wish you a very Merry Christmas from our house to yours. Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas. Thank you for watching 1834 Restoration House.